she is, so he quickly tells everyone to bow to her, but she tells them to instead bow before Makoto since he's her master. They return to interrogate the Lich, and Makoto asks him why he was in the village. He says that he wanted to observe the forest ogres and their abilities, but Tomo asks him why he became an undead. He reveals he wants to become a Grant, a species superior to humans in every way, and asks Makoto how he defeated him, so Makoto explains that he used dark magic to consume his mana when he was casting his spell. The Lich thinks he's lying because it would require a ridiculous amount of mana, and this angers Mio and Tomo, who threaten to kill him, but Makoto calms them down. He wonders if the Lich has any spell books he can buy, and the Lich thinks he's messing with him, but Makoto mentions how he only learnt magic from a single page written by Emma. Tomo suggests keeping the Lich around to help him learn magic, and she mentions how he must want to become a Grant because he knows of other worlds that aren't created by the goddess, and he must believe Grants can travel between worlds. Makoto wonders if he can return to his old world, but Tomo thinks it's impossible, because many have tried to travel between worlds, and only a few have succeeded. She reveals that Grants aren't the ones with the power to travel between worlds, but rather those who have successfully moved worlds. Makoto wonders if there's a way to do it, but according to Tomo, even if the goddess herself opened up a path, the survival rate is less than 10%. She proposes that Makoto form a contract with the Lich since he wants to learn magic from him, and they both agree. Makoto is too strong, so he needs to lower his mana in order to form the contract. The ritual is completed, and the Lich returns to his human form, thanking Makoto for the opportunity to be his servant, and he's given the name Shiki. Tomo tells him he has a lot to learn, but there's suddenly an explosion, and Tomo collapses, apologizing for her mistake. Makoto tells Mio to stop Tomo's bleeding, and he takes Shiki toward the explosion site. Shiki tries to follow him, but falls to the ground because he isn't familiar with his new body. He decides to save his mana and instead treat the wounded from there, which surprises Makoto, as he wasn't expecting him to have healing magic. Makoto runs toward the explosion site and comes across a few injured people. One of them is an Alki named Hokuto, but he finds this odd because Alkis should be able to heal quickly, and seeing him in this state reminds him of when his cat died in his past life. Shiki starts healing them using his magic, but some of them are too badly hurt, so he asks Makoto for help. But Makoto can't use healing magic and instead uses Kai, which isn't enough, so he combines two Kai spells and successfully heals him. He's confused why he senses his mana covering the area, and a girl hands him a necklace, which he remembers belonging to the orc from the party. Makoto reaches the explosion site and finds traces of a missed gate, and he wonders if it's due to the explosion. He notices more gates and senses Tomo's clone, as well as the orc and adventurers from the other side of the gate. The gates start closing, and he remembers what Mio told him about a person's consciousness disappearing when they die. There's only one gate left, and he tries to save the adventurer on the other side, but he starts seeing their memories. We learn that the girl he met in the red light district was after him as part of her plan. She and her fellow adventurers stole several items from the Mirage City, but as they were escaping, a young orc saw them, and when the orc and the others tried to stop them, the girl threw one of the bags, but inside it was a ring that had absorbed Makoto's mana, which caused the explosion. Tomo's clone tried to protect everyone using a water wall, but the explosion was so powerful that it broke through the barrier, killing everyone. It created a mist gate, which is how the girl teleported to Saich, where she's still worried about the stolen weapons. Suddenly mist surrounds her, and Makoto appears with a terrifying look. He isn't wearing his mask, so the girl starts insulting him for his looks, but he ignores this and wishes he killed her before. She mentions she's a level 96 hunter, but Makoto ignores this and takes out the traditional weapon of the orcs. She attacks Makoto, who cuts off her hands and knocks her down, telling her she deserves it. She begs him to stay away, but he finds her irritating and finishes her off. Tears start rolling down his eyes, and he wonders if it's because this is the first time he's intentionally killed someone, or because of the deaths caused by the explosion, but he concludes that it's because dying was a sad thing in the world he used to live in. The next day, Makoto holds a traditional orc funeral for the dead and pretends to be fine. He tells Tomo about his experience of seeing the girl's memories, and she feels happy knowing he killed the adventurer as the true king of the demi-plane. He wonders if he's becoming like them because of the contracts, But this makes Tomo laugh, and Shiki explains that no part of the servant can enter the master's body. Tomo believes he could use her power because of their connection, which makes Mio angry, but Tomo clarifies she's talking about the trust between them. Shiki tells him he can use any of his servant's power, but it'll take time to get used to it. Tomo explains that the trust between master and the servant is the key, so when a master faces an emergency, the servant's power may manifest in him. Mio gets jealous because Makoto used Tomo's power, and the girls start fighting over who's closer to him. Later, Makoto tells Emma about creating a wall around the Mirage City to protect the weak and the children, and he also wants the Lizardmen to patrol the area. He tells the Alkies to take turns in pretending to be adventurers, staying in Mirage City so they can gather information. The dwarves go on to brief him on managing the warehouse, where they plan to dispose of the waste immediately and add safety precautions. After meeting the parents of the dead orc, Makoto meets his friend and apologizes, but the orc reminds him that he saved their village, so they all will happily offer their lives for him, but he still feels bad and promises to make things right. Makoto meets Patrick, who tells him about the neutral town of the Rotsgard Academy. He shows Makoto a map, which surprises him because it looks a lot like Japan. Makoto plans to leave immediately, but before going, he reveals he lied and removes his mask. They are shocked to see his face, but Patrick assures him he still trusts him, mentioning how he never stopped loving his family even when they were transformed by the curse, but Makoto is a little offended by the comparison. Mio and Tomo wonder why he's only taking Shiki with him on his trip, but he explains that Shiki will be more helpful because he's a former human researcher, and he also won't destroy any towns. He mentions that he was fine with not understanding the world before, but after the recent incident, he wants to learn more about their world and his parents. He apologizes for leaving, but gifts Tomo his memories of swordsmanship, and Mio his memories of firearms. Tomo tells him that while he's gone, she'll try to get the forest ogres to move to the demiplane, whereas Mio will maintain Mirage City and their shop in Saich. Makoto and Shiki get ready to leave, but Makoto suddenly gets teleported somewhere else and is attacked by two adventurers, Sophia and Lancer. He dodges their attack but gets his fingers chopped off. On the other hand, Morris tells Patrick that the main forces from Lemia and Britonia will soon be fighting the demons. Makoto is confused at what's going on and remembers hearing the goddess's voice before getting teleported. Sophia thinks he's a demi-human, so she wonders if he's really the goddess's hero. She continues to attack, so he uses barriers and his strengthening Kai to protect himself, but it isn't enough to fully block her attacks.